Good evening, everyone, and welcome to SAVE's 2021 Champions of Equality Gala. My name is Edward Marti Kring. For over a year, I've had the pleasure of working with our volunteers as a community and field organizer. First of all, on behalf of our staff and SAVE's board of directors, I wish to thank you all for tuning in for our second virtual gala. As the pandemic continues to disrupt our daily lives, we were forced to change our plans from an in-person event to once again presenting a virtual program. But don't fret, we have a great evening in store for you with a number of exciting performances, testimonials, a silent auction, and more. This evening would not be possible without the support of our most generous sponsors: the AIDS Healthcare Foundation, Freedom Brown PA, Joe Falk and Osman Gonzalez, Bacardi, Bilzen Sumberg, the Miami Dolphins, and countless others who have supported our cause through the Florida AIDS Walk. Our gratitude also goes out to all of the silent auction donors, as well as our host committee, who have helped us spread the word about tonight. Thank you all. We couldn't be more grateful for your support. Before I turn it over to our executive director, Orlando, I'd like to tell you a little bit about my work and how your contributions are helping to fuel SAVE's efforts in the field. It's only with supporters and volunteers like you that we can safeguard American values for everyone, right here at home. The values of equality, including LGBTQ justice. Why, you might ask? Our lives are on the line. I wish we could say that we've won and our fight for civil rights is over. But we must continue the momentum of civic action from 2020 into the 2022 midterm elections and beyond. Our work in the field is how we create change. Volunteering with SAVE is the core of who we are by being a community united for human rights. SAVE's work focuses on ensuring LGBTQ justice is won at the local and state level. It's volunteers like you who give their time and treasure to mobilize voters, elect pro-equality candidates, and educate South Florida about the issues impacting the LGBTQ community. Our solution is simple. It begins and ends with you volunteering to defeat anti-LGBTQ legislation. Through grassroots, volunteer-led mobilization, there's a path to continued victories at the local and state level. We have known this to be the most effective way to win since 1993. And we can win again, but it's gonna take you, it's gonna take your family and your friends. It's gonna take our collective effort to make full LGBTQ equality a reality. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we'll see you on the field. And now, enjoy tonight's program. I'd like to turn it over to the man who is steering the ship and keeping us all on track. Please welcome SAVE's Executive Director, Orlando Gonzalez.
Thank you, Eddie, and hello, everyone. I'm proud to serve as the Executive Director of SAVE and to stand with you in safeguarding American values for everyone. Today, we celebrate the 15th annual SAVE Champions of Equality. I know. It feels like we're in month 20 of the year 2020, that this should be like a quinceañera and that I should be in a big white, well, no, I'm not gonna go there. So, as I'm sure you know, the original plan was to do this event in person at the fabulous Frank Gehry designed New World Center on Miami Beach. But with the new COVID variants on the rise, we had to make the tough but smart decision to present this evening's award in virtual format for the safety of our community. Don't worry though, we have a great show planned for you tonight. And we're already making plans to be at New World next year. I wish that I could be in the company of so many friends and family tonight. I was hopeful that the vaccines would put an immediate and total end to this pandemic. I'm sure you were too. As vaccines are safe and effective, they are the key to achieving the critical mass needed to get us back to normal, so that our economy can once again thrive with a healthy population. This makes it our priority to do all that we can do to elect leaders who possess a stronger moral compass, a basic commitment to truth and science, and a sense of compassion to what is truly good for people like you and me. COVID has revealed so much about our lives and our communities by prompting us to call into question so many things we never really thought to question. The pandemic has also exposed the fragility of our cities, states, and our country. But most alarming is the glaring light it has shined upon the deficiencies and disparities that exist in our social and political systems. So I'm going to take this time to underscore the sad reality that some elected officials have denied the seriousness of COVID by putting public health and safety aside for their political purposes. Coincidentally, or perhaps not, these very same elected legislators and governors also tend to be anti-LGBTQ. They tend to be science deniers, and they tend to be forever looking for ways to suppress one of the most American things, which is our voting rights. History will not be kind to those so-called leaders, but there is hope. And I have to say that COVID has shown us hope as well. This time last year, I was anxious and feeling terribly sad, like so many of us were. Today, however, I feel hopeful again about the future of our community and our country. My hope and sense of optimism stem from the feeling that little by little, the constant gaslighting and the spread of misinformation is starting to dissipate. But I warn you, we can't let our guard down. We can't let up. In 2020, we saw the greatest and most consequential presidential race ever favor our community. But still, we suffered losses at the state and local levels. We must take action to prevent this from happening again. For SAVE, our efforts in 2021 and 2022 will be data-driven, rigorous, and focused on increasing voter participation by getting out the vote with an aggressive field and canvassing plan that engages voters right at their doorstep. You see, our opposition doesn't hold back in going door to door. And we are driven to counteract those efforts with our own, without fear and with trust in the science and safety protocols to protect against COVID. As the executive director at SAVE, I want to share with you that our mission is to promote, protect, and defend equality for people in South Florida who are LGBTQ. Together, we fulfill this mission through grassroots action as an LGBTQ and allied community. And this is intersectional. And that intersectionality spans a tremendous array of colors, flavors, cultures, and abilities. And frankly, it's what makes our community so beautiful. Our work at SAVE is threefold. Number one, we serve to educate individuals and organizations on issues that impact our community. Number two, we help to pass pro-equality legislation and fight against harmful legislation like we saw earlier this year. And number three, and most importantly, we work to get pro-equality people elected to public office. We do this through community engagement by identifying pro-equality voters and nudging them using a method that few people embrace: high-engaging, one-on-one conversations. It is hard, and it is the very definition of grassroots. And it means that we actually hear many more no's than we hear yeses, but we just keep pushing. Many of you listening out there know exactly what I'm talking about. You've been there with us. I want to share with you where I see the LGBTQ movement heading in the next 5 to 10 years. There is no doubt there's so much more grueling work ahead of us as we continue to combat religious refusal laws that seek to strip away our hard-won gains. We will see religion used in a way that is so un-American and so undemocratic. Our community is diverse, and it includes people of faith. As an organization that work to safeguard American values, the freedom of religion is central to the work that we do. Religion should not be weaponized to discriminate against anyone. Full stop. And furthermore, we will have to take strategic action to protect transgender people from hurtful and meaningless acts. Our transgender siblings are being used to motivate the most anti-LGBTQ voters into action. But we're not only going to be playing defense. See, for more years than I can count, studies and assessments have been made identifying the needs of the transgender community. The one thing that all the studies have shown is that low-income housing is the greatest need. SAVE is here for that challenge, to work in collaboration with government, other organizations, and individuals to find housing for youth who have been forced out onto the streets, and for those adults in need of temporary shelter, and also permanent housing to provide a place where transgender people can not only survive, but thrive. Some might call this God's work. We just say it's the right thing to do. With your support, SAVE's core competency is in doing data-driven, door-to-door canvassing to get out the vote in districts where very few people are willing to do the work. Without SAVE's outreach, many voters would go unengaged and overlooked to the peril of us losing their critically needed vote. We're going to keep knocking on doors to create the change that we want to see. And this is the reason why we must celebrate champions of equality. It's because there is a history of injustice that we are undoing. See, democracy suffers when there are inequalities and disparities in our society. Together with tonight's honorees, their work, the world is safer and more equitable. I know and I trust that pro-equality leaders will repair this work. I want to thank Eddie Kring, our National Urban Fellow and Field and Community Organizer, for kicking off the night. And I invite you to take his lead and get involved in doing the most effective work on the ground. I'm hopeful that we're heading in the right direction. Through deliberate and planned action, we can make our greatest hopes a reality, because that is who SAVE is and what SAVE does. For decades, despite the odds being against us politically, economically, and socially, we've remained resolute and have fought back. Well, woo, I'm fired up. I'm really fired up. And so tonight, let's celebrate and honor our community heroes who embody the spirit of SAVE. Our program tonight includes a live-streamed segment of homegrown talent. I'm excited to bring them to you because their enthusiasm for wanting to be part of our program really speaks volumes. You're going to also hear from volunteers, board members on the work of SAVE and how it impacts their lives in the community. I want to thank our volunteers, our hosts, our sponsors, and the board of directors, as well as our staff, for the great work of SAVE that SAVE has been able to accomplish and continues to be accomplished. All of this would simply not be possible without your time, your talent, and your treasure. I know that many of you, just like Justin and Eddie on the staff, you all give up so much personally to be in service to the community. We're a small but mighty organization that has a real impact on elections and policy far greater than the size of our budget. None of this would be possible without your generous support, so thank you. Watch this short video from our largest donor and presenting sponsor, the AIDS Healthcare Foundation.
Fill a prescription with us and help fight the drug industry's greed. Shop at one of our thrift stores and help provide healthcare services to those who need it most. With AHF, you get more caring, more commitment, more community.
We appreciate the work that AHF does around the world. And so without further ado, I remind you to find a way to get involved on the ground and in the field by talking directly to voters. I also want to remind you to vote. It's the greatest and most effective form of protest we have. Our MC for the evening is a familiar face to those of us who follow the national landscape of LGBTQ leaders who are making a difference. He comes to us from the Keystone State, affectionately named this way for its role in building the democratic foundations of the United States of America. He's a friend, an advocate, and a really good person. Please welcome State Representative Brian Sims, who's fighting hard to be the next Lieutenant Governor of Pennsylvania, where he's going to continue to fight hard for our fellow LGBTQ people there and everywhere. I'll be back with you later tonight, live. Scary, but live. So Brian, just take it away from here.
Thank you, Orlando, and good evening, supporters of equality. I am Representative Brian Sims, and it is my pleasure to serve as your host tonight. It's an honor to share this virtual stage with so many passionate people from the LGBTQ community, advocates and allies, and to celebrate the tireless work of SAVE. In order to secure lasting change and solidify the protections that we've been fighting for decades, we have to look beyond our neighborhoods, cities, and states and engage holistically with our partners across the nation. This is why I'm thrilled to be here, a Pennsylvanian, celebrating the work of fellow legislators and community leaders who are helping to advance our cause well beyond Florida's state lines. As a gay man, a civil rights attorney, and the son of 2 retired Army colonels, I know firsthand that the empathy, authenticity, and experience that tonight's community leaders bring to the fight for equality is unparalleled. And as a Pennsylvanian, I also know a thing or two about what it means to live in a state whose politics have the potential to impact the nation. Florida regularly captures the eyes and attention of America, and tonight's honorees are the LGBTQ leaders and changemakers they deserve to see. The power of the LGBTQ movement is extraordinary, and the COVID crisis has just illustrated this greatness. One of our community's great strengths is the ability to gather and unite our voices, whether it be on the street in peaceful protest, or at a pride parade, or in the halls of government at all levels. And this ability has been severely impacted over the last 18 months. Nonetheless, even with the growing concerns over the pandemic and the Delta variant, our community and organizations like SAVE continue to innovate and find ways to amplify our voices when meeting in person is no longer the option it once was. And so here we are, once again in this virtual setting, but with an ever-growing list of supporters and allies. Since 1993, SAVE has advocated for equal rights for persons of all sexual orientations and gender identities. Along the way, they've been helped by a number of courageous advocates willing to fight for fairness and equality. We're here tonight to celebrate their accomplishments and to raise funds for the important work of SAVE. Tonight, you'll hear stories of people and organizations who have stepped up and helped quickly and decisively in a moment of great crisis. You'll learn about a tireless advocate for sensible public health policies, an artist who used his creativity to illustrate both literally and figuratively collective outrage when our leaders were failing us, foundations that immediately dispensed aid with remarkable speed when they recognized the economic threat that the pandemic presented, especially for vulnerable LGBTQ organizations. Throughout the evening, we'll be joined by a number of inspiring individuals, including some incredible performers who are kind enough to lend their powerful voices in support of the cause. It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce one of South Florida's most beloved LGBTQ icons, a longtime supporter of SAVE and the curator of this evening's music program. Known as Miami's King of Pop, recently he's been conquering the music world, honing his craft alongside international acts like Mark Anthony, Ricky Martin, Daddy Yankee, and Alejandro Sanz. Please welcome the one and only Robbie Elias. Thank you, Robbie. Up next, to present our first award this evening, please welcome someone who made history last year as the first woman to ever serve as the mayor of Miami-Dade County, the Honorable Daniela Levine Cava.
Good evening, everyone. It's always great to be in the company of our good friends at SAVE. Communities across America are still reeling from the effects of the devastating impact that the COVID-19 pandemic has had on our lives. Here in South Florida, we've been especially affected, finding ourselves at the apex of the national crisis more than once. Fortunately for our region and the Miami-Dade community, the two organizations whose leadership I have the honor of recognizing with this award both exhibited outstanding initiative in galvanizing support when they swiftly and efficiently distributed relief funding to organizations in need. Tonight, we recognize their collective efforts to advocate for and ensure the well-being of the South Florida community, particularly our LGBTQ residents in a time of crisis. Please join me in congratulating our Fund Foundation and the Miami Foundation LGBTQ Community Fund. To help honor their work and impact on our community, see what some of our community leaders and organizations have to say.
We post bond to get low-income LGBTQ folks out of jail and immigration detention. And so once we're able to post that bond, we're able to provide a lot of post-release support, such as case management. We do a lot of court advocacy for our participants, and we look at ways of working with people to look at ways of how they can advocate for themselves, whether that's in court or in engaging in services. And so our fund and Miami Foundation have been with us within our second year, if I'm not mistaken. And they've been able to give us money to be able to do the work that we do in regards to posting bond for low-income LGBTQ folks who are in jail, but then also being able to provide a lot of that post-release support so that then that person is able to engage in services that they otherwise would have not had access to.
Over $3 million has made its way from the task force through what is now the Miami Foundation to the LGBT community. My relationship with the Miami Foundation has been long and deep. As for our fund, I knew a number of its organizers from my board service at Lambda, and I was privy to their efforts before our fund actually even opened. Over the years, our fund has grown to become what DHRF might have been had it not been derailed. Its first executive director, Tony Timoreos, and founding board did a really terrific job of engaging the community and explaining why it needed its own bank book. I've worked closely with our fund in my work at SAGE and also with David Jobin, its current executive director, on a national task force to promote planned gifts in the LGBT community. David, his team, and his board are doing an extraordinary job.
Thank you, Mayor Daniela Levine Cava. As one of a handful of LGBTQ community foundations in the country, our Foundation is honored to do our work at the intersection of people who care and causes that matter. Our vision for creating the most livable place in the country for LGBTQ people here in South Florida was most critical during the early days, weeks, and months of the pandemic, when the businesses that we depend upon, both for-profit and nonprofit, were shaken to their core. Because of the generosity and thoughtfulness of our legacy donors who trusted our fund to carry on the values by which they lived their lives, and because of the generosity of our donor-advised fund holders, we were able to marshal resources to invest $750,000 in the network of agencies that we support at a time when their life-saving and life-lifting programs and services were most needed. We're proud that not a single agency in our network had to close their doors. We're especially humbled tonight to receive this honor from SAVE, an organization whose purpose and mission and people and history we so greatly admire. On behalf of the Our Fund family, we're grateful for this recognition. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Fishman-Lipsey. I'm the president and CEO of the Miami Foundation. I'm here with Josue. We're so excited to be here celebrating with you tonight and thanking SAVE for the incredibly important work you do now and you have been doing since 1993 to advocate for the needs, the rights, and the strength of the LGBTQ community. SAVE keeps equity and the LGBTQ rights at the forefront of our elected leaders, our business leaders, our philanthropic leaders, and your work has been important to our foundation and to our leadership for dating all the way back since Ruth Shack. And I'm really proud to carry that torch forward. I'm also really thankful for the work of our LGBTQ community advisory committee and the fund that they lead. And so I want to congratulate all of the honorees tonight for your work. You matter, your leadership matters, and we're proud to stand here with you tonight.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. This incredible partnership began in 2005 thanks to the dedication of folks like Jerry Chasen, Chris Verdugo, Steve Herbitz, Marlon Hill, Matt Foreman, Daryl Burks, and others. And as it's been shared, the funds have supported the National LGBTQ Task Force's countrywide efforts and pulled in more than $3.3 million locally, benefiting more than 90 South Florida community organizations. We're so grateful that throughout the pandemic, we were able to quickly mobilize and grant over $250,000 to 10 organizations serving the most vulnerable among us. Understanding the incredible fight for equality we had ahead of us, we also funded social justice efforts like the incredible work done by SAVE. We thank everyone who worked tirelessly year after year, donors and volunteers alike, to help raise the funds and distribute them back to the community. On behalf of the committee members, past and present, we thank you. And thank you, SAVE, for this special honor and for relentlessly fighting the good fight, embodying the spirit of an equality champion every day.
Congratulations again to the Our Fund Foundation and the Miami Foundation LGBTQ Community Fund. Your philanthropic leadership is responsive and appreciated. Now, to present the next award, please welcome a SAVE Champion of Equality, Florida State Senator Jason Pizzo.
Good evening. I'm State Senator Jason Pizzo and the proud recipient of last year's Champion of Equality Award. The call went out this past year for recommendations for this year's potential candidates for the Champion of Equality. There's a young man who serves our community selflessly, tirelessly. Born in Korea in an orphanage and adopted by a family, the Tipton family in the United States, Kevin Cho Tipton graduated from school and enlisted in the United States Army, now serving as a captain in the Army Reserve. But he's also a critical care nurse. And as you can see on his social media that I follow every day, you see the horrors, the tragedies. And what you see is Kevin is a hero. He won't tell you that, but he deserves every recognition that he gets. It is my honor once again, not only to be a part of the SAVE community and last year's recipient, but to introduce Captain Kevin Cho Tipton.
There's two things that will stand out about Kevin. His energy and enthusiasm, which is always like above and beyond. He is always like ready to go, ready to do another shift. Let's do this, ready to help. Kevin was a tremendous help. Jackson was one of the epicenters for the COVID pandemic. And last June, July, August, we were really in a bad place. We were very short-staffed. We had, ICUs that we were putting together as fast as we could, and patients far more than we had the ability to care for. And let me tell you, Kevin stepped up, jumped in, and even though he also has another position in another facility, I think he worked probably 7 days a week for, I don't even know how long, 12 hours a day, and always with enthusiasm, kindness, and helpfulness to others. I would choose the word professional to describe Kevin. That is probably the thing that best sums up all the qualities, at least the qualities that I've come to know about him. So, I mean, as in knowing what you're doing, as in, doing the right thing in an ethical way, and in how you relate to others. So professional, the word really to me encompasses a lot, and Kevin very much does embody that. I would really like to make sure that the world knows that Kevin is a really great guy. He's got a good heart. He's always willing to help everyone who needs it, and he does so with a smile. It's so nice to have people like that on my team. I'm incredibly proud to have him here, and incredibly pleased to be able to celebrate him with you.
Thank you, Senator Pizzo, Orlando Gonzalez. Thank you, SAVE, for this recognition, and thank you, Mom and Dad, for everything. This is a great honor, and I'm hopeful that this moment reminds us all of how much we share. COVID-19 doesn't choose who gets sick based on your ideology or race or religion or because of who we love. Every worker and every industry has had a role in reuniting families torn apart by this disease. From public servants like Senator Pizzo and my neighbor, Commissioner Higgins, who have defended our most vulnerable, to artists like Adele Rodriguez that have spread inspiration when isolation has consumed us, to the truck drivers that have kept our grocery stores stocked and service workers that have kept our world open. All of us, every day, everywhere, have been part of this journey to save and comfort as many lives as we could. By using what we've learned, I hope that we can empower each other to do what SAVE does best: change hearts and minds by educating people about the issues that affect us all. On behalf of healthcare workers, we thank you for your support and ask that you focus on our patients, their loved ones, and to protect your own by choosing to get vaccinated, seeking out early treatment, and outside of this pandemic, supporting initiatives to build healthy neighborhoods that allow families to thrive. Finally, I hope that this moment helps anyone questioning whether being different means that they can't make a difference in the lives of those around them. If I can, if we can, so can you. Thanks.
Kevin, thank you for your service in healthcare and with the National Guard. And now we're pleased to welcome back Robbie Elias, this time with a special guest. I'm back with you, and I'm thrilled to welcome our next presenter, the Artistic Director of the Institute of Contemporary Art in Miami, Alex Gartenfeld.
Good evening. Thank you all for your support of SAVE and South Florida's LGBTQ+ community. I'm Alex Gartenfeld, the Artistic Director at the Institute of Contemporary Art, Miami, and it's a pleasure to present the next award to an artist who exemplifies SAVE's values. Some of SAVE's top priorities are amplifying democracy and ensuring the protection of our rights and unobstructed, unintimidated access to the vote. Given these past years' crisis of democracy, which continue in the aftermath of the 2020 election, I am proud to support SAVE, an organization that is laser-focused on fighting the spread of dis and misinformation. It is through this struggle that we defend the ideals of democracy at home and abroad. Our next honoree is an artist and an advocate whose work fearlessly depicts the looming threat and machinations of authoritarianism. Through visual art, illustration, and literature, Idel Rodriguez is the creator of iconic images that have become instantly recognizable as the cover of major publications such as Time and The New Yorker. Through color and graphic form, Mr. Rodriguez's work evokes our collective outrage and inspires change. It is in recognition of his prolific output and the urgency of its social commentary, which deeply resonates with SAVE's values, that we honor Mr. Rodriguez this evening. His work with an economy of forms demonstrates the important role of art to shape discourse by inspiring people in ways that words cannot. It's an honor to recognize Idel Rodriguez. Please join me in congratulating him.
When I was a child in Cuba, I was always drawing. One of the hard things to come by in Cuba are basic things like pencils and paper. But my aunt was a pharmacist, and every day after school I would go to her pharmacy, and she would just sit me at a table with some of her papers and pencil from the pharmacy, and I would just sit there and draw whatever's in my mind. And it developed more when I arrived in the United States. I went into third grade, and in a strange way, art was a way to communicate with people in the new country because I didn't speak English, so I'd spend a lot of time just drawing things and showing them to people. And once I started getting, winning contests and things like that as a kid, it just felt great. I felt that my family gave up so much to come to this country. What my father had always told me is this is the greatest country in the world. You can say and do anything you want here. So when I saw that was at risk, I got scared by it. I said, no, this isn't right. So I decided, well, I'm here to speak up. So that's what I started to do. I started making work criticizing what's happening in the government right now because I totally disagree with it. I really do feel that this country is about freedom, and the only way you're going to find out how much freedom you have is if you test it on a constant basis. So I feel like I'm testing it all the time. I said I wanted to do something about, the moment that we're in right now, the moment politically, socially, where this country is right now. The challenge for me was to create a series of posters that were not necessarily had an agenda, a political agenda, or against anything or any party. It was more about get involved, stand up for your rights, and get involved in the system, pay attention. So it was this progressive idea of like wake up to what's happening, speak about it, and then do something about it. I'd like to thank the SAVE organization for honoring me with this beautiful and wonderfully designed award. It's quite an honor for me, having grown up in Miami in the 1980s and seeing the homophobia and things of that sort that were prevalent in our culture and sometimes still are. This is a very important award for me. When I was young, starting out as an artist, I had problems where people would say, well, don't be an artist. That's something that's a gay thing. You don't want to do that. And I never really understood as a child why people were saying that and what it meant. As I grew older, I understood what they meant. And I actually made a point that in my art, I wanted to stand up for equal rights and all of these issues that had made an effect on me when I was a child. So it's pretty ironic that having gone through all that, now years later, I'm getting an award from an organization that stands up for these rights. And I think there's still a long way to go, especially in our community, in the Latin community, and in Miami. But we've come a long way so far. So I just want to say thank you, and I really love this award, and I look forward to displaying it prominently in my studio. So thank you very much.
Welcome everyone to our first live segment. I hope that you're enjoying the program so far. I want to remind you to check out the incredible silent auction that we've pulled together with items that are ranging from travel, artwork, museum memberships, theater subscriptions, beauty treatments, fitness classes, and so much more. We even have a piece that was done by Idel Rodriguez, who was just honored in the last segment. I appreciate everyone that is making donations to SAVE to help build our efforts to fight for equality. I want to thank the first group of people that have already donated. First, my good friend Bill Dumois, Rebecca Fishman-Lipsy over at the Miami Foundation, Ibis Valdez, Stephen Cohen, Jamie Hammonds, Jake Myers, Kristen Rosen-Gonzalez, Matthew Green, who also donated the beautiful painting that we have in the silent auction. The other donors include Rodriguez Hang Letnin at the National Center for Transgender Equality, the incomparable Senator Jason Pizzo, my 1976 peer, Dr. Stephen Saffron, who was one of last year's Champions of Equality, Norbert Fernandez, Murray Stegelman, Robin Schwartz. Robin, by the way, is this year's honoree at the National LGBTQ Task Force Gala, which is taking place on October 23rd. We hope to see you there in 1 month from today. The other donors include Michael Heider, DDS, Bradley Carlson, my friend Christy Golba, Dulce Castro, my colleague and wonderful Deputy Director Justin Kletcha and Dr. Lynn Perry, and Mike Ferrari. Thank you all once again. I'll be back live again in a few minutes, hopefully with more donations to announce. Let's turn back to the program with my friend, State Representative Brian Sims.
As many of you are familiar, SAVE is known for their ability to galvanize the community and gather powerful voices in order to change hearts and minds and inspire change. Here to share their story of personal work with SAVE is Nicola Ferkessen.
Hello, my name is Nicola Ferkessen, and I am on SAVE's endorsement committee and volunteer in field work. To me, SAVE represents some of the best work that our community does, making real connections to affect lasting change. And all of that done with the utmost understanding and acceptance, inviting everyone into the process, whether it be fighting for protections and ordinances for us all, or upholding the simple right to let trans youth live fulfilling lives. SAVE, more so than nearly any other organization, meets people where they are, and I've certainly met many amazing people during my time here. Whether it be from interviewing local candidates or talking to my neighbor down the street, we're forging connections every day, not telling people what to think, but teaching them how to care. I'm so thankful to be a part of this work and to everyone here for supporting it.
Here to present the next award, the first transgender woman to chair the Miami-Dade County LGBTQ Advisory Board, please welcome Ayana and Jenny Gonzalez.
Good evening, supporters of equality. My name is Ayana and Jenny Gonzalez, and I am the chairwoman for the LGBTQ Advisory Board for Miami-Dade County. It is a pleasure to be with you tonight to present the award to our next honoree. Our champion and commissioner being honored tonight has always led with justice and equality top of mind, making LGBTQ issues a priority. Her leadership has benefited Little Havana, downtown, and the beaches with her keen focus on economic development and on making improvements to our public transportation system. Her tireless and passionate work resulted in the creation of the LGBTQ Advisory Board on the Miami-Dade County Commission. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask that you please join me in congratulating and celebrating a true champion of equality. It is my honor to introduce Commissioner Eileen Higgins.
The thing that impresses me a lot about Eileen is how she engages with everybody, even if she's completely on the opposite side of an issue with somebody. She will try to find some common ground. I think that's a rare commodity. She's able to engage with people and focus on the issue and try to resolve the issue and find common ground on the issue. And she's brilliant at it.
And I got to know her through the Miami-Dade County Advisory Board. And we got to know her work, her advocacy, her passion for representing the LGBT community. And that's how I know her. I got to work with her closely when the first board of directors for the LGBTQ Miami-Dade County was put into place. She was at the forefront of putting this forward on the agenda for the commission's office and making this happen. At that point, I knew that not only was she an ally, but she was someone that absolutely walked her talk. And I just fell in love with her. What inspires me about her, and the reason that I trust her so much, is that she is genuine. She is not your common politician that's interested in the votes. This is a woman of courage, of leadership, that's out there in our community, that's present, that's visible. She truly cares. She's genuine when she speaks, when she supports. And the best part about Eileen is that she's present, she's visible.
I think her style is, you can't shake a hand with a fist, with a closed fist. And her style is to extend the hand and try to bring them to understanding why we need equality. Her passion. Because people can disagree with you, but if you really are passionate about what you're fighting for, it's really hard to get upset with you. And her passion comes across. She doesn't hide it. And passion for what we do when it comes to public service and trying to change the status quo really comes across. And people admire it. And I think that that's one of the reasons she's been successful at what she does.
I am so humbled to be named a 2021 Champion of Equality. Thank you so much. To the amazing leaders and members of SAVE, thank you for fighting tirelessly and thoughtfully for an equal and inclusive community in Miami-Dade. To the whole LGBTQ community, thank you for trusting me to be an ally in your fight for equality. Thank you for your resilience, your defiance, your daring, your dignity, your proud declaration of self. You are the true champions. For you have taught me what I needed to know to do the work of creating a more inclusive community. You have made it easy for me to be your advocate on the commission. Our county continues to make progress for the LGBTQ community. For the first time in history, the Pride and Progress flags waved high over County Hall, a visible statement that we, as a county, see you, hear you, and accept you for exactly who you are. I know that there is still work to do, but I can assure you of this. I accept this award not as a commemoration of what's been done, but as a call to action for what still needs to be done to make Miami-Dade County an inclusive community for everyone.
Thank you, Commissioner. It was great to see my friends Jean Sulzberger and Joe Saunders. Once again, please enjoy another musical performance. SAVE's top priorities include ensuring voter turnout and supporting pro-equality candidates, and this work builds on 28 years of success. The next award goes to an incredible individual whose career trajectory, culminating with his recent election victory in the race for the Florida Senate, perfectly embodies the organization's mission and values. His firsthand look at the inequities in education and society at large propelled him to enter public service. In 2012, he was elected to the Florida House, championing meaningful bipartisan legislation, including 2 consecutive bills to secure dignity for incarcerated women, statewide expansion of a clean syringe exchange program, safety and oversight for athletic coaches for youth athletic teams, and ensuring transparency and accountability via police body cameras. Today, he proudly serves Florida's 35th Senate District, which includes portions of Broward and Miami-Dade counties, as an openly gay lawmaker and outspoken advocate for marginalized communities and all Floridians. It is an immense privilege and honor to present this next Champions of Equality Award to my friend, Florida State Senator Chev D. Jones.
Have to find a way to resist and to fight back and to give voice to all of the people who you represent, but also the values of this whole huge part of the state. And to be able to do that while being in authentic relationship with other people is, it's not just talent, it's like kismet. And I think that's what he does. I think that he finds that way. He will fight with members on the floor and then go to dinner with them afterwards to continue the debate in a much less charged way. He has real authentic relationships with senators and members of the House from the other side of the aisle, and I think that that is how he is able to be so effective. The work that he's done in the reproductive justice space, the dignity bills, which there have been a few iterations of, which have been about bringing deeper protections for women of color in the criminal justice system. Some of the most important work being done on the state. Him and State Representative Amy Mercado from Orlando helped to lead on that. And really just the way that he turns that microphone on, you know, I can't undersell that. Our job in the minority is to give voice to values and to push back. And sometimes winning in Tallahassee is losing less. It's stopping bad things from happening. And I think that just by turning your microphone on and saying the right thing in the right time in the most strategic way can pay important dividends. And he does that in spades.
Donald Trump is not even welcome in Senate District 35. I can tell you that for a fact. I'll end with this. In this district, this is the largest black district in the state of Florida. And how disrespectful it is for the President of the United States, who have no regards for science, who have no regard to take for anyone's life but his own, to bring something here that he knows in the African-American community has already shown that it's killing us at an alarming rate and a faster rate than any other race here in the United States of America.
One of the biggest things he passed in the House was the needle exchange program. The needle exchange program is really key in us fighting diseases here in Miami-Dade. It wasn't just about exchanging needles, it was about getting them in the door so that they could change their, so you could talk to them about changing their life. And things like that, I think he will continue to press, which will make Miami-Dade better, make his district better, and make the state of Florida better. He's not representing the people, he's of the people. So he's there. You know, you'll see him in the grocery store. So, you know, you'll see him at a birthday party, all those things, because he lives there and this is his home. I would tell Chevron that I'm very proud of him. He has done me proud. He has lived up to the legacy of all the people who served in the Senate seat before, from myself, Frederica Wilson, Kendrick Meek, Carrie Meek, Bill Turner. It's a long legacy of advocates in that seat. And I think the next advocate, Senator Chevron Jones, will be in the history books just like those people.
This is an extremely special moment for me, my family who are watching right now, and all the LGBTQ plus individuals who have been told that a space is not meant for them. We are making history together. As the first and openly member of the LGBTQ plus community
Serving in the Florida Senate, it's clear that people are tired of the divisive nature where we are in this country. And my message to anyone is that the high road always wins. Thank you to SAVE, South Florida's longest serving nonpartisan organization dedicated to protecting LGBTQ+ individuals against discrimination, and the more than 400 political, civic, and community leaders from throughout the region who share in this victory with me. Good night, and get vaccinated.
Tonight, we celebrate not only our honorees, but the hands-on work of SAVE and the advances that have been made in the fight for equality, thanks to their gargantuan efforts. The joy and credit that comes with every positive change resulting from this work also belongs to generous individuals who share their time and treasure to ensure that the work is properly resourced. As the Stonewall generation matures, many individuals in the LGBTQ community are creating thoughtful and well-executed estate plans, which include legacy gifts to organizations and causes that will have a lasting impact on the LGBTQ community for generations to come. Sadly, we all know that our fight for equality and to protect against discrimination will always be needed, and that hard-won protections can be lost. Legacy giving can ensure that you continue to support the fight well beyond your time on Earth. Deliberate estate planning is especially important in the LGBTQ community, in which individuals are 3 times less likely than others to have children. Our next guest has been a fervent supporter of SAVE since the organization's well-organized grassroots defense against efforts to repeal Miami-Dade's Human Rights Ordinance. He is here to invite you to consider joining the SAVE Board of Directors and to share why he is including a legacy gift to SAVE in his estate plans. Please welcome SAVE board member and community luminary, Joe Falk.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us, and congratulations to all of our honorees. My name is Joe Falk, and I've been serving on the SAVE board in one capacity or another for many years. It's been quite a ride. We've had great victories like marriage equality, supportive engagement with police departments, electing openly LGBT commissioners, state representatives, and even a state senator. We've enacted local anti-discrimination protections, and we're a leader on transgender protections. We've also suffered setbacks. No statewide protections, no federal mandate, too many homeless LGBT youth, bullying in schools, and elder abuse in nursing homes. The work is far from over. Amazing progress, yes. But for those who come after us, they will face new threats and unexpected challenges. We know all too well that one step forward can easily be followed by 2 steps back. That's why I'm presenting a new idea for your consideration. SAVE is not supported through government funding. We survive because of your current generosity. We're very blessed, and we thank you. Some years we do well, others not so much. When funding allows, we expand. Lean times means difficult cuts to important programming. We need to build a more stable, multi-year source of funding, and that's where you come in. To enhance our ability to survive the lean times, SAVE has decided to create a legacy program and build a restricted foundation. This will provide financial stability, fund future efforts, allow us to consider multi-year programming, and lessen our dependency on current donations. Here's how it works. Contact SAVE and our Executive Director, Orlando. Discuss a gift funded through your will, trust, or life insurance. We have the paperwork, and we're happy to coordinate with your accountants and your legal counsel. We've established an endowment fund where the assets will be held, invested, protected, and distributed according to your wishes. I can't think of a better way to build on SAVE's tradition of service than by fortifying and diversifying our financial resources. We are a consistent, reliable partner in the movement to promote, protect, and defend LGBT people from discrimination. I'm doing it, How about you? Calling all LGBT leaders. Are you ready to lead? Now could be your moment. SAVE needs new board members. We've made a difference in this community, and working with other like-minded volunteers has been personally very rewarding. I've made lifelong friends working with SAVE, and working together, we've improved the lives of many LGBT Floridians. What could be better than that? Making a difference, making new friends, helping others, working as a team, and we need you. If you're interested in discussing board membership, call Orlando, call our president, Jonathan Frieden, or just call me. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you in person very soon. Back to you, Brian.
Thanks, Joe. And now let's welcome another special music guest.
Hey everyone, I'm back live again. Robbie's performance was terrific. Well, I have some breaking news to share with you. Just minutes ago, the Village of Miami Shores has passed their non-discrimination ordinance, which includes sexual orientation and gender identity. Congratulations to everyone involved, and especially to my friend and my Hoya classmate, Vice Mayor Dan Merenberg. Before announcing our last honoree for the night, I want to thank the donors that have continued to chip into our campaign tonight. They include Roger Thompson and Jim Tyrell, Scott Spauer, my neighbor, Joe Saunders, my colleague in the fight, my other colleague in the fight, Liz Schwartz, Libby Godinsky, and Seth Godinsky, two incredible champions that have been at this for a long time as allies, and of course, Richard Milstein and Eric Henkin. And next, we have a really special announcement from the chairman of the board and my friend, Jonathan Frieden.
Good evening. I'm Jonathan Frieden. I'm the chair of the board of directors of SAVE, and in my free time, I'm also an attorney with Frieden Brown, PA. Since 2019, our firm has teamed up with SAVE to create the Frieden Brown and SAVE Social Justice Scholarships. The goal of the scholarship program is to give tomorrow's social justice leaders the education, the training, and the tools they need to excel in their educational pursuits. Already, we have awarded over $50,000 in scholarships to LGBTQ and allied students pursuing careers in social justice. This year, we are excited to award $25,000 in scholarships to 5 amazing students who already have a proven track record of leadership in the LGBTQ community. And tonight, we are announcing the winners live. So without further ado, the recipients of the 2021 Frieden Brown PA and SAVE Social Justice Scholarships are Brittany Gonzalez, who helped review the applications. Most especially, I thank all those who applied, and congratulations to these amazing young leaders. We can't wait to see all that you accomplish. Let's turn back to Brian Sims.
Our next award is presented by a long-standing LGBTQ champion. Please welcome Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Good evening. I'm Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, a founding vice chair of the House Equality Caucus. I am proud to represent Florida's 23rd Congressional District, home of one of the most vibrant LGBTQ+ communities in the nation. Thank you, Brian, and thank you to all the viewers and guests joining this evening to support and celebrate the invaluable work that SAVE, its staff, board, and volunteers do every day on behalf of the LGBTQ+ community in Florida. As your representative, I will continue to use my voice and my vote in the fight to make the United States a more just and equal nation, and to speak up for LGBTQ+ rights wherever and whenever they are threatened around the globe. I am so proud that the House of Representatives passed the Equality Act to extend comprehensive anti-discrimination protections to the LGBTQ+ community in public accommodations, housing, employment, medical care, education, credit, and jury service. And tonight, we honor the bill's author, my dear friend and colleague, Congressman David Cicilline of Rhode Island. Without his leadership, we would never have gotten this far. I've seen him mobilize the troops and whip votes for the Equality Act. I know he will not rest until the Senate passes the bill and sends it to the President to sign. Long after making history in 2003 as America's first openly gay mayor of a state capital, Congressman Cicilline continues to fight not only for true equality for the LGBTQ+ community, but also for public services and resources that are sometimes hard for LGBTQ+ folks to access. For example, I know he's currently fighting to include health equity, affordable housing, and education benefits in the Build Back Better reconciliation package. These are all provisions that will have significant benefits for LGBTQ+ Americans. His impressive career simultaneously highlights this community's collective struggle, how far we as a nation have come, and the labor that is still ahead as we work together to reach full equality. David is a leader and a moral compass for our caucus, and many members look to him for guidance on issues of LGBTQ+ equality. And he is a champion not only for LGBTQ+ equality, but for our nation's seniors, children, and working families. That is why it is my distinct privilege to help honor Congressman David Cicilline, chair of the Congressional Equality Caucus, lead sponsor of the Equality Act, and my friend. Please join me in recognizing him as a champion of equality. To help celebrate his career and accomplishments, let's enjoy this video featuring some of his friends.
David Cicilline is a player. He's a real leader in Congress. People look to him. They listen to him when he speaks. I had an interesting exchange with him the first day We walked on the floor of the House of Representatives. I went running up to David Cicilline like a little kid, said, I must be a principal co-sponsor of the Equality Act. It's important for my community. I think he was a little taken aback, but he said, absolutely. May of 2019, we passed the Equality Act on the floor of the House of Representatives. If I was to describe David in one word, it would be tenacious. He just gets hold of an issue and he never lets it go until he successfully passes it.
I think that America is much better for people like David Cicilline. We are going still through some very difficult times. And I think that people like him who have this very refined sense of justice and how we can get there, they're indispensable. We love him and we appreciate what he does. And I think in return, we need to utter two words that are very powerful, and that is thank you, thank you, thank you. I just want to thank you deeply for everything that you did for me, for helping me to realize that in cities such as Hartford and many cities across the nation, the future of those communities depend on education for the children, on economic equality and justice, on having good and decent jobs, and turning that into the primary focus of moving forward for those communities. And your lessons, your leadership and your guidance really was of a big benefit to my city. And I just want to say again, thank you. And we love you. Keep up the good work. And we're so proud that you're being honored today. You really, really, really deserve it.
Debbie, thank you so much for that warm introduction and for your important work in promoting LGBTQ equality in Congress. You have been such a champion for our community. I'm so grateful to be here tonight. The SAVE Foundation is an incredible organization that has fought tirelessly to protect the rights of LGBTQ people, and I'm so honored to be receiving this award from such an inspiring and effective group. As the most senior LGBTQ+ member of the Democratic Caucus, chair of the Equality Caucus, and author of the Equality Act, it has been so exciting to see the increase in LGBTQ members of Congress over time. We now have more LGBTQ members in the House of Representatives than ever before. We've made a lot of progress since I first entered Congress. The last 4 years were extremely difficult as we battled relentless attempts to beat back the progress we've made on LGBTQ equality. Even today, we see discrimination proliferating across our country. More than 250 anti-LGBTQ bills were introduced in state legislatures this year alone. We have watched in horror as members of the LGBTQ community, including our youth, particularly members of the trans community, have been persistently attacked just for being who they are. We've seen other discrimination as well, including attacks on the fundamental right to vote, with dozens of voter suppression laws enacted across 18 states this year alone. We know that many of these laws target communities of color and are designed to silence their voices. Americans will never truly be equal if such discriminatory laws are allowed to become the law of the land. Despite many states passing harmful laws to deny Americans their basic rights, we are taking action to reverse this. Last month, the House of Representatives passed H.R. 4, the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, which would help protect against discriminatory and targeted voter restriction laws. I was proud to co-sponsor that legislation and believe it is the first step towards ensuring that every American has their voice heard. I was also proud to reintroduce H.R. 5, the Equality Act, this Congress, with 224 co-sponsors, and to pass it out of the House in February. It now awaits action in the Senate, and we must keep pressure on the Senate to finally pass the Equality Act, to ensure all Americans are equal under the law. I'm proud that the House of Representatives did its part in passing this critical piece of legislation. No American should be forced to live in fear of discrimination simply because of their sexual orientation or gender identity. And they certainly shouldn't have to worry about whether or not the person in the White House or their state legislature will undermine what few protections they do have. The Equality Act is a common sense piece of legislation that expands the Civil Rights Act of 1964
and other existing laws to ensure that LGBTQ Americans can live their lives free from discrimination. Specifically, it adds sexual orientation and gender identity as protected classes in the areas of employment, education, federal funding, housing, public accommodations, credit, and jury service. Now, the reality is that many Americans would be surprised to learn that these protections are even needed. They might look at the LGBTQ rights movement and the victories we've attained, and they might assume that discrimination is a thing of the past. But in reality, same-sex couples can get married on a Saturday, post photos of their wedding on Facebook on Sunday, and then get kicked out of their apartment or be denied service in a restaurant on Monday, just because of who they are. No American should ever be denied housing, the ability to attend school, to secure a mortgage, or to serve on a jury because of their sexual orientation or gender identity. The fact that a majority of people in our country still live in states where this kind of discrimination is legal strikes at the very foundation of what it means to be American. I will continue my fight in Congress to end discrimination and to pass legislation to protect our democracy and ensure full equality for the LGBTQ community. Most importantly, we must all work together and make our voices heard to ensure that every American is treated with equality, dignity, and respect. After all, these are the founding principles of our great country. Thank you again for this wonderful honor, and enjoy this evening.
On behalf of SAVE and its board of directors, I'd like to take a moment to thank all of the artists who participated in our program tonight for their time and their talent. They've truly enriched this experience beyond measure. I'd also like to thank all of the sponsors, host committees, members, auction donors, and those of you who have made contributions to SAVE. Remember that the silent auction closes promptly at 10 p.m. tonight, so don't forget to place your final bids. The auction can be accessed at www.championsofequality.com. And while you're there, I also hope that you'll take a moment to jump over to sims4pa.com and learn a little bit about why I'm trying to serve the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania as its next lieutenant governor, and why you, as a Floridian, could have such a huge impact on a gay Army brat from Philly and the march towards equality across my state and this entire nation. Once again, my name is Brian Sims, and it was a pleasure to serve as your host tonight. Stick around as we return to the studio and rejoin Orlando and some very special guests live. But before that, we leave you with another powerful musical message.
Can't love yourself? How in the hell are you gonna love somebody else? Can I get an amen up in here? Amen. All right, now let the music play.
You walk in and I walk out the door. I can't put up with it anymore. Don't act like we've never been here before. I know well what you've been thinking. I'm tired of falling down right at your feet. Hold up, I am not a trophy. You think that you got the best of me, but you've got nothing. You've been dreaming. Oh, I feel it in my soul. Of me, I can't let go. I won't give in. If they could see me now, they can get mad if they want to. Catch me outside if they want to. I live my life like I want to, and I don't hear a thing they're saying. Fly if I want to, and I can love like I want to. Say bye, bye, bye if I want to. Can I be me? 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 Can I be? Check 1, 2. Tell me, are you listening? Who are you? Talking all this shit again. Take a look in the mirror. Who you gonna choose to be when you're looking at me? I really thought that you would come around, stick around, but in the end I'm gonna keep my feet on the ground. And when I look in the mirror, tell you what I'm gonna see. A better version of me said, oh, I feel it in my soul. Of me, I can't let go. I won't give in. If they could see me now, they can get mad if they want to. Catch me outside if they want to. I live my life like I want to. Catch me outside if they want to. I live my life like I want to. And I don't hear a thing they're saying. Fly if I want to. And I can love like I want to. Say bye, bye, bye if I want to. Can I be me? Can I be me? Can I be me?
Well, what a night. This is the last live segment we're doing, and I want to thank Representative Brian Sims for hosting this evening, and also Robbie Elias for providing the entertainment. That last song was such an earworm.
Speaking of Robbie, I want to invite everyone to open up a new tab and go to South Florida Gay News at www.southfloridagaynews.com/bestof and vote for Robbie Elias as the best local artist. Also, vote for our very own hardworking field and community organizer Eddie Kring as the best activist, and vote for SAVE as the best nonprofit. I know it's a shameless plug, but somebody had to do it, right?
The chairman of the board has to do that. Well, I want to thank our media partners from Hotspots Magazine and Queer News Tonight for broadcasting our gala. Remember that the silent auction closes tonight at 10 p.m. And this reminds me that there are still some items that you can get quite a bargain for. Jonathan, do you have any kind of favorite items out there?
You mean other than lunch with you, which already sold? There's a Hard Rock Hotel Punta Cana stay still available. The Legal Roadmap Consulting with attorney Daniel Weiss. Some amazing Ardmore pillows donated by our very own board member, Ed Pasco. And 5 personal training sessions with Marcus Balietti.
Those pillows are so fancy. Well, tonight has been a really great success because of all of you watching our program. Our champions being and doing the heroic things they're doing, and of course, the SAVE supporters. So I want to give one last shout out to the donors and sponsors that have come in since we have started the program. The last ones include Josh Fuller, Bryce Donner, Commissioner Mickey Steinberg, and the legendary Ruth Shack.
Well, that's a wrap for the night. We look forward to seeing everyone at the Task Force Gala on October 23rd. Join the SAVE table and sit with us.
Also, mark your calendars for the SAVE Halloween party on Friday, October 29th at our house in Wynwood. Good night, everyone, and stay safe and dry.